G'day, legends. Welcome to the Thursday Sesh by Celtic Down Under. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me are Dan, Willie, and Jared. How you going, Jared?
Good. It's good to have all four of us back for the first time this season.
Yeah, Dan's pulling his weight. Here we go.
Dan's on the trading block.
I was going to skip tonight just to keep up. I was hoping to sow some rumours that there was a real beef between Jared and I, and we refused to appear on the same show, but I missed him. I thought I'd come and say good day.
Oh, that's adorable. Yeah, I just look at it and go, I thought we were going to have you on the trading block there, there's a transfer coming in. So it's the podcast trading model instead of the player trading model. But the old
Man City are on the lookout, so I'll take the oil money. I have no principles or morals. I've got kids to feed.
How you
also,
doing,
Dan's
Willie?
on my good side at the moment. He's made a lot of positive comments about Kuhn lately.
My guy.
Willie, how you going over there in New Zealand?
I'm going all right. Another day of being absolutely busy and achieving next to nothing. So,
it's good fun.
So it's all good fun, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, what we'll do is we'll crack into the pod. That's for you, Jared. So, how we'll start off as usual is I'll give you guys a quick minute or two to have a quick chat about the Hibs League Cup game, and then we'll roll into everything else we want to talk about. So, Willie, you got any random thoughts still sticking in your mind from the weekend's game?
Nah, nothing really. I mean, it was a good game of football. Silly goal to give away. I think Kukurevich worked the zonal marking system quite well and just lost his man. I didn't know it was Hatate trying to move to him, and the whole line was shifting across, and he just picked his way off. Got a great header, looked at Pash Michael, but other than that, it was a pretty positive performance. Some really good players out there. Kuhn is really coming on that game at the moment. Like, it's a real joy to watch at times. Like. So, yeah, great game of football. Like.
Jeez, it's everyone's having a love fest for Kuhn here. Jared's going to be getting a bit excited there. So, Jared, you got anything to add about that game, or you over it and want to focus on the weekend?
No, Kuhn had a really good game. It seems like, I don't know if this is a positive or negative, but it seems like most of our offense is now going through Kuhn. Like, he either puts the ball through for someone like Hatate's cut back. He's either scoring the goal or he's assisting. I think we need some other people to get involved in that. I would like to say that Scales had a good game because I feel like I just attack him almost every game, but I feel he actually had a good game. So I'm going to go on the record. It might be the only time this season I'm like, Scales had a good game. And I think McGregor is actually like finding new life since he's retired, and he's making Taylor look amazing because I think he's started covering a bit more for Taylor, so Taylor can do what he needs. And I had almost no negatives except for Rio Hatate was the one that put Cucaracha on side and then just decided to drop off and let him have a free header. That's probably the only downside I've got. But yeah, great game. Hibs looked a little bit better as well, which was good. So it's not like we were blowing them off. But yeah, I'm a little bit annoyed. This is the first game I haven't picked the score, all because of Rio Hatate putting him on side and then not even defending. So he's in my bad books. I was about to swear, but it's 4 minutes in.
All right. So I'm going to write down a little note here. Thursday, 22nd. Jared, Scales. Yeah,
cool. Good.
Record. It's been recorded for the season. There you go. That post-it note will end up over there later on. So, Dan, you got anything you want to add, or we're just going to roll on into some of the other stuff?
Not much. I don't really know what to say now because I was all amped up to be the Liam Scales defender like usual, but didn't really have to because no one took any shots at him. Simple performance, got the job done. Like the league game, I felt it could have been a lot more if we took some chances and were a little bit more clinical. The goal was a cracking header. As you said, Hatate played him on, but it was a cracking header. It's not much Schmeichel could have done, unfortunately, but overall, we move on. We sort of got the job done, and we don't have to worry about some of the other big sides had some interesting little stumbles over that sort of match day weekend. So good to avoid that.
How do you think Schmeichel will be feeling conceding his first goal in a Celtic jersey? I was going to say in Scottish football, then I remembered he went on loan to like Falkirk way back in the day, so he would have leaked some goals back then. So
you think so? probably put it into context. He's pretty professional. I'm not sure he was crying about it, but disappointing from a fan perspective. It was nice to see his brick wall of defence and not conceding goals. But if you're going to cop a goal, it may as well be a decent one.
Fair enough. So before we get into the next topics and we start talking about all the transfer stuff, just want to give a bit of a spiel here. So on the screen, if you're looking at it on YouTube, you've got all our links for our social media. So Instagram and Twitter, so X, whatever, at Celtic Down. Give us a follow on there on Facebook and on YouTube. You can find us. Search Celtic Down Under. Look for the boxing kangaroo logo. Just trying to grow the subscriber count for the podcast and the group and everything, so on all the socials. So keep that growing. But the main focus this season is to get our YouTube account up to 4,000 subscribers. So we're about 100 short at the moment. So I really want to push that one. So if you're watching, doesn't matter whether it's now or in the future, if you haven't subscribed and you like what we do, please pause the video. If you can, if it's not the live stream, go hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live every week. And yeah, just help us build that channel up. Really appreciate it. And I'm thinking I'm going to do a flag giveaway to someone when we hit the 4,000. So there's a little thing for some lucky person out there. I think Dan might join in now. He wants a flag.
Yeah, I've got that little space there. Could use a flag for sure. So
Okay.
I might subscribe.
There you go. So yeah, going to go through, do a bit of a recap of the transfer stories that have been floating around this week. So there's been quite a bit going on. So apparently Celtic have rejected approaches for Cameron Carter-Vickers from Atalanta, Galatasaray and Besiktas. I always say that one wrong. Besiktas, there you go. And the club have made it clear that he's not for sale. So that's good to see. Because of the next two things we're going to talk about is Gustav Lagerbielke is possibly departing for SC Heerenveen on loan in Holland for the season. And Yuki Kobayashi has left the club to join Portuguese side Portimonense. So yeah, it's a bit of turnover in the centre back logs. So realistically, Naroski's not really doing much. It's Scales and CCV are our centre backs. We need another. With Lagerbielke and Kobayashi gone, we need another one. So, Dan, I'm going to ask you, with Lagerbielke and Kobayashi on the way out, are you thinking we're going to start to see us getting linked with options, defensive options, whether that's left back, left-sided centre back, late in the winter? There's like 9 days to go. So, are you thinking we're actually going to see some movement there?
Yeah, look, you'd almost have to think so. Regardless of our financial situation, it sort of feels like we're in a waiting to get people out before we make some moves type position. And that might just be more sort of bloated squad rather than financially. But I haven't seen us linked to a lot of left backs. There was the Bueno from Wolves was about it, but I haven't. It's not like there's been a large number, and similar with centre backs. I know Dara Roche at Burnley, and Scott McKenna are about the only two I've seen sort of even remotely linked, and that's just going off paper talk. But we can't go into the season with just Greg Taylor at left back and Liam Scales as his cover, particularly if Scales is going to be our starting left centre back as well. So you'd have to think there's some moves on the horizon, but all the rumours seem to be more around midfielders. I'm not sure, whether we're just getting attached to certain guys, but I know we've sort of been linked to the lad from Los Angeles and a couple other midfielders. So
We'll talk about midfielders next, so let's leave that. But yeah, the defenders in particular, I'm thinking, if we're focusing on that, I throw to you, Willie. We've got do you think that, as Mahesh is saying here, as long as it's not a dodgy loan from Liverpool, and Robert's saying Nat Phillips was an absolute nightmare. So do you think it's going to be one where the market has been dead because it was an international tournament? It's always dead for a bit, but it's really going to ramp up, which is what I'm thinking. Are you thinking once the Premier League teams start to figure out, okay, who's going to be in their top squad, who's going to go on loan, who's going to be sold, we're going to start to see some traction and be linked to a few players? Is that what you think's going to happen, Willie?
It's kind of what I hope will happen, but for me, at this moment in time, all eyes are on the midfield and what's going to be happening in and around there. So we're going to go on to discuss that, but I think all of our attention from the boardroom level will be looking on comings and goings in the midfield department. And I kind of think they've taken their eye off the ball as it goes to defence. I think that possibly Liam Scales will be enough for the season and Greg Taylor. But Greg Taylor's contract's winding down. Owen Beck has been linked. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up coming along either on loan or on a permanent deal come towards the end of the window. But I don't really see defence being top of the priority as far as the board are concerned right now. So.
And Jared, do you think that Owen Beck, that Willie's just said, will probably be what we'll end up with? Like for me, the rumour is that Liverpool want him to go on a permanent move. They don't want to loan him. We're happy to do that. But do you think that's going to be what we'll end up with?
I would prefer the Ajax left back that we were rumoured with. Owen Winjaja. Yep, however you say that. He looks pretty decent. I don't know whatever happened to that other Schnaps or whatever his name was, left back from. He kind of just fell off the radar. But no, I'd like the Ajax left back. Send him. It's kind of disturbing how much we're being linked with midfielders when right now it's the least needy area as long as no one leaves. Whereas our needy area is defenders, and it feels like we're not being linked to really anyone. And when we do get linked, it's like a post one day and then it's just gone. Like Schnaps. See, that's how long ago it was. I can't even remember his name. Same with the Owen Winja. Like that came up. It was great. I got excited, and then it's just gone. But we can't. I don't want Scales to be starting after this window. Scales needs bloody on the bench.
If you have Scales and Taylor coming off your bench, you're laughing. So, yeah, to answer some of the questions, Beck isn't much bigger or athletic than Greg Taylor, so I don't see how that helps us for Europe. Windale is a bit taller, and the stats from what we looked into earlier in the week on one of the pods was he looks pretty good. So I'd be happy with him, but I think our focus at the moment is in other areas. But by the end of the window, once we get to the 1st of September, then I'll make my final judgment on it. So I hope we bring some in. We need to do something. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Is that a squeaky toy from your dog, Jared? Or
can you hear that? Yep.
I don't mind. I just thought I'd try and explain it for the anyone who heard that listen to the audio.
Us and several thousand listeners, mate.
Yep. So with the midfield situation, so we'll go into that. So Brighton are still in talks to sign Matt O'Reilly. The latest talk is it's going to be 25 million plus 5 million in add-ons, and the club's negotiating a future fee for us when he gets sold. So it looks like the sort of move you'd want from him from the midfield would be he'd probably leave. He'll go to Brighton. If he was to go to Brighton, I'm pretty much at the point where I've accepted he'll go, right? So it's about getting as much as we can. And I think O'Reilly would go to Brighton. He'd break into that team pretty well. He'll do well, and then he'll get his big move in the same way Virgil did when he went to Southampton. So I want us to future-proof this as much as we can. Apparently, Brighton are willing to give up 10% of the future fee. I'd be asking for 30. I'd be asking for Jeremy Frimpong, sort of what Man City did with us when they did it. I'd be asking for as much as possible and see what happens. Worst case scenario, he stays with us for a little bit and then goes in there after the Champions League. But even if we get all this money for him, we better be investing it, and I think we will be. Dan, what are you thinking for the O'Reilly situation? Your piece that he's going to leave. You think Brighton's a good fit for him? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I've been at peace that Matt O'Reilly's going to leave pretty much since the end of last season. He's too good. He's too good to be playing in Scotland. It's something that I listen to a lot of Clyde, Clyde Super Scoreboard or whatever, and you hear, well, Celtic's a bigger club than Brighton and this and that, but it doesn't come down to that. Brighton is sort of the entry into the Premier League for players, as you said, Virgil going to Southampton, Wanyama going to Southampton. It's the same. It's them being able to go and say, look, I can do this week in, week out against Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham, whoever it may be. It's not saying, look, I can go and score goals against Hibs and Dundee and whatever. It's a resume builder and it's a stepping stone for guys. So look, whatever we sell him for, it's going to be 25 plus. I want 30, but I'm sort of more interested in if we can negotiate a decent cut of the next transfer. Because if he goes to Brighton for 25 plus and, does what I think we all expect him to do, which is to have a good season, then there's no reason in a year or two he's not going to be at Liverpool or Man United or Man City, or he's good enough to get to that level. And when you're talking transfers of players with it, I know he's Danish, but he's got the English passport. When you're talking of players with that English passport moving between Premier League clubs, that's where the massive fees are, because you've got English clubs that need to meet quotas and everything, same as we do with our homegrown and all that. That's when he could be a 50, 60, 75 million plus player. So, if we're selling him for a good fee and getting a cut of the next transfer, I think we're going to do good business. And I hope there's some intent and some ambition to reinvest, because there's no reason we couldn't be doing this over and over again. They're not all going to work out. You could buy 30 blokes for $1.5 million, and a lot of them will never get you a return on investment like this, but you only need one to be in that position to have another 30 cracks at it. So not that I want us to be shopping in the bargain basement, but the player trading model, we hear it all the time. It's overused, it's boring, but buying low, selling high, it's a pretty simple concept. And if we're doing that, we're also saying to these players, look, you can come to us and we'll give you 8 appearances in the Champions League and we'll put you on a decent stage and we'll be able to facilitate a big move to an English Premier League club or a Serie A club or a La Liga club. To me, that's what we need to be doing. And whether it's Engels or Bogusz or whoever, it's bringing the next 2 or 3 guys that Brendan Rodgers works with and improves. Even just to go back, I know we sort of mentioned Owen Beck is at this point not, any better than what we have in terms of Greg Taylor, but he's younger. I guess he's more malleable in the chance that, there's no reason Brendan Rodgers couldn't make him a better player than what we've got in Greg Taylor at the moment. So, I think we've got to trust the manager to improve players, and we've got to trust the board to fund the ambitions that we have.
All right. So with that, what I'm thinking, we can go off on a little tangent here, Willie, and I'll throw to you off the back of this, right? So there's a whole bunch of rumored players that we're looking at, which we'll get through and we'll get to in a couple of minutes. But I want to dive into our current midfield situation. Okay. So if we're looking at it, we've got O'Reilly, Hatate, McGregor. The backups that are normally on the bench most weeks are Awada and Bernardo. So there's 5 guys there, right? Home would be the next drop on the midfield. So if we were to lose O'Reilly, there's talk that the club's saying they want to bring in 2 to replace him. What are your thoughts there, Willie? Because the only real options in the midfield after those 5 that I've mentioned, without going into names of rumours, because we will talk about them in a little bit, but for me, I'm looking at it going, I always thought we were 1 short in the middle anyway. I'd like to have 2 for every position. So for only 5, I think we're 1 short. Home could potentially be that for me, but I want him to go on loan this season, go do like a Ryan Christie sort of loan within the league or a Chris Iyer sort of thing, and go spend 6 months to 12 months elsewhere playing week in, week out for us. But what are you thinking with our midfield there, Willie? Because other than Home, who's the next guy we've got in the middle of the park? McCarthy's gone. So what's his name? Kelly's off to Millwall. We're not going to play him. So you're left with Liam Shaw. So how many do you think we need for the midfield there, Willie?
I agree with you. I think we definitely need two. If we lose O'Reilly, then we definitely do need two more to come in there. And you look at the likes of Home, Callum McGregor, and Awata, they're all vying out for one position, which is the anchor of the midfield. And you've got Hitati, Bernardo, and O'Reilly, who are the three that are playing for that two sort of forward roles in the midfield. So for me, looking at like a flat midfielder who can play 8, a 10, or a 6 anywhere in the three would be a great addition on an attacking midfielder. The guy Bogus, some of the stats I've seen on him today, they're actually pretty good. He scored 13 goals in 24 outings. I think it's one of them sort of signings that would make absolute sense to go for because he turns 23 today. All things are positive when you look at him. So for me, I would definitely be looking at another two in there.
Fine, we'll cover that now then, since you've just jumped ahead to the talking about the actual players there. So yeah, Celtic are rumoured to have put in a bid of £8 million with LAFC for Polish midfielder Matej Borges. Anthony from our weekend review pod, he messaged one of his mates over in LA and asked about him. He's an LAFC fan, and he said, yeah, he's been great this season. We'll be sad to see him leave, but I guess now we have Giroud, we can let him go. So that's the takeover there. He scored this morning for LAFC as well. So realistically, what I'm saying is I'm saying we need two midfielders. There's three we're linked with at the moment. So you've got Borges for £8 million. You've got the top of the list is at Arne Engels that we've been looking at from Augsburg. Apparently, Augsburg want 8 to 10 million for him. And then you've also got Celtic being in for with Luzon for Swiss midfielder Alvin Sanchez. Apparently, Luzon wanted 4.3 million for him, but now that's dropped down to about the 3 million mark in the latest talk. So realistically, it looks like we're going to spend some money there. So, say if O'Reilly was to leave, and I'll throw this to you now, Jared, off the back of this. We've got those players. We've spoken about the midfield. Willie's saying we need two. I think we need two. What I'm going to ask you is, does it look like to you where looking at going, okay, we sell O'Reilly, we bring two in. Kyogo, we will talk about later on in depth, but if he was to move on, we're going to spend some more money there. So all up, we could be selling one or two big players to bring in 5 of that 6 to 10 million range. Would you be happy with the squad being built that way now, Jared, for the rest of this window, if possible?
Look, I'm expecting Matt to go, and Brendan Rodgers has said he wants to replace them with two. So hopefully we'll get someone like Arne Engels, who is just going to be probably the next Matt O'Reilly, and then a second player where it is that Bogus or Luke McGowan, he's been rumored, or someone else. Also, Turley has been playing pretty well, the young kid, and he was on the bench last week. So instead of looking at spending 6 or 7 million for someone who might be just as good as Turley, why not give him a shot if Holmes doing well, if he gets put out on loan? I'm hoping we don't sell Kyogo, because right now it seems like we're decent
Leave
with
the Kyogo
Kyogo.
talk, please. We'll leave that till later.
You asked me about Kyogo.
No, I asked about selling players and selling 2 to bring in 5 is what I asked about, not specifically about Kyogo. But back to what you're saying.
I'm done then. That's pretty much it, because the 2 in midfield, the other ones would be forwards, so that would probably come under the Kyogo part for me. But as long as we get in Engels, getting someone else, I don't really care. Just get in Engels. If we're getting rid of O'Reilly, just get that guy. I'll be happy.
Dan, what are you thinking? You're on mute by the looks of it.
Yeah, it leaves us short. So we do, without going into specifics, if you look, as you said, if you're looking at this point, selling anyone in that midfield or moving anyone on from those positions, then we absolutely need to be bringing in reinforcements, because we're not at a position where we can, I guess, for me, comfortably go forward. What do we got? Calmac, Hatate, Bernardo. You're sort of basically at that point hoping to bring in at least someone else. And I know McCowan, and I've spoken very highly of McCowan in the past. I like his versatility, that he can sort of move on to the wider areas as well. But yeah, without sort of going too much into it, if we're selling O'Reilly, as we're sort of I guess coming to grips with, and selling anyone from that sort of forward contingent, we absolutely need to be replenishing our stocks. I think we probably need a third striker as it is, and that's with keeping what we have. So, if anyone wants to go out the door, you have to be replacing those bodies as well.
Yep, 100%. So I'll go through some comments now. So we've got Paul saying we need 3 new signings. We've got RL77 saying I'll live with it if we bring in Engels and Bogers. The usual YouTube highlight reel caveat, or caveat, however you say it. Mahesh is saying I don't think Matt O'Reilly starts for Brighton based on their midfield squad. RL77 was saying Calmac, Hatate, Bernardo, Engels, Bogers, plus one other is a decent midfield 6. Well, I think the one other would be Awada, wouldn't it? There you go.
Yeah.
And then I think Bernardo will take over from Calmac eventually, but play the position differently. On that, the bit about Bernardo. Bernardo said in the press conference when he signed with us permanently that he sees himself as a 10. I don't see him as a 10, even though he has a similar sort of style of play to Matt O'Reilly. I don't see him in that role. For me, I see him as the long-term replacement for Hatate whenever he moves on. In that 8 role, box to box is where I think suits Bernardo better. What do you think is the best role for Bernardo, Willie?
I like Bernardo in that number 8, sort of playing one in front of him and one behind him. He seems to be able to cut out vertical passes quite well, so having him in the middle there between the 3 is probably his ideal position. It's something he hadn't. He played sort of there in Europe, and he played reasonably well there too. So he is a player that's of decent quality. I would just like to see him get a bit more game time, see what he can do when he gets an extended run in the team, so we can make a proper assertion of what position would be best for him. Is he going to be a good number 10? Because obviously he's not going to get near the number 10 position when O'Reilly's playing in the kind of form that he plays in. And when Hatate's on form too, he can easily slip into that number 10. So ideally you would see him playing in the number 8. But it would be good to see him to get a good extended run in the team and see, like I say, just to see what he is capable of.
Yep. And Jared, what are your thoughts on that? And I'll bring up another comment for you to go into as well. Have you seen much of that Bogers guy we're being linked with from LAFC?
I only saw a picture this afternoon.
Okay. Well,
that was it.
Plunge McNuggets saying he can play as a 9 or a 10 role. So that would probably be your O'Reilly replacement. But then Engels can play an 8 and a 10. So that covers a few there. And then Mahesh was saying here, based on the data, he's a good replacement for O'Reilly, might be an upgrade in attack, better than Engels and Sanchez. Sanchez wouldn't go near him. So if we got Bogers and Engels, would be absolutely flying. And an RL77 saying Bogers looks much like a Brendan Rodgers player. Who reminds me of was he gave me some Stuart Armstrong sort of vibes, Bogers, from what I saw, where he could get on the ball, could glide past a player, but had that bit of physicality about him and everything from what I've seen on the highlights. And I spent about an hour, whole lunch break today, looking at random videos of these players. So I think Armstrong did well for under Brendan first time around. That's who I think he reminds me of. But yeah, I think we'll work out okay there. So let's spend some money. Morning to Stephen as well. Dan,
just on. Yeah, just on, and same as you. I just basically was watching clips and reading what others have written about this Bogish while dealing with everything at home today. But I did like his passing and creativity. He looks to be a very progressive player. It's a lot of forward carries, a lot of forward ball movement. His work rate looked good. defensively. I didn't see him sort of wanting at all. Not too bad in terms of set pieces, can score a goal. I think he's overperforming his XG slightly with 13 or 14 goals in MLS this season. I did sort of his physical stature. He's not, hugely tall or physically imposing. But other, players of that ilk have still done well in our midfield or playing slightly more forward for us. So yeah, I didn't mind the look at it. I guess shot selection was the only other thing I made a note of. He takes a good volume of shots, 2.78 shots per 90 on average. And if you take away penalties, his XG is in the 23rd percentile. So suggesting shot selection could and potentially the quality of those shots could be improved slightly. But I think there's a raw player there for sure. And he's the sort of player I think, improves under Brendan Rodgers. Absolutely.
So, Dan, I'm going to say something here. How many times do we get the ball at the top of the box and you're just watching the game going, just fucking shoot it? And we try to pass the ball in the net, right?
You're right.
Well,
someone to just leather it.
Someone to just do the Ryan Christie's. Either you put it in the goal or it's in rows Ed. I don't care.
Yeah, get it over done with, pull the trigger. No, I hear you 100%. So, no, look, there's not a lot of downside. I was probably being really picky when I was looking at weaknesses. So, I think he's a good signing, one that I enjoyed looking at anyway. Sometimes a name gets linked and you do a bit of a deep dive and you think, fuck, what a waste of my time. But this was not one of them.
Yep. So I'll just bring up some more comments about Bernardo here. So McLaughlin saying once Bernardo gets his 30-game run, we'll see how good and exactly what his position really is. Good point. Jerry Burns is saying Bernardo's like a Petrov type position-wise in the team. Very good comparison. I hadn't even thought of that. Kevin Mullen is saying it's unthinkable we can be weaker than last year and think we can compete in the Champions League. This board would drive you to drink. What do you think's going on right here, mate? Shout out to the Sydney City CFC. Great stubby caller, does the job all the time. Mahesh is saying Bernardo's superpower is breaking up attacks. So good for Europe. He needs to improve his attack contribution. I think that ties into what McLaughlin was saying about get a run of 30 games and get him into some sort of rhythm, and we'll see what he can do. And yeah, we'll go from there. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of an interesting one here. So yeah, we'll move on to the Kyogo talk. So Jared, I'll go to you. So Kyogo's been linked with a move to Man City, apparently for 18 to 20 million pound is the rumored figure. Would you be asking for more since they just sold Julian Alvarez to Atletico for 82 million pound? My view is I wouldn't want to get too greedy. I said in the pod, I could see, like at the start of the off season, I could see him moving on because all things considered, he's probably at his peak for us now anyway, so we'd get him most value. He's got a longer contract. What are your thoughts on that whole situation?
I don't think his price should go on what they've just sold someone completely different for. It should be the issue I have is the fact that we have just had no backup striker for so long, and now it's like we've got two strikers, and it's like yeah, and then we've got Maeda who can slot in there, and it's like all right, now we're set, and it's like okay, let's get rid of our starter. I'm like oh crap, I need some time to settle. But if they're going to come at it with like 18, 19. We're not going to get that again. But it's like you got people that are like, oh, we're going to get worse and we can't do the Champions League. It's like, oh, crap. Okay, so what are we going to do? Do we take Kyogo at the highest we're going to ever get for him? Or do we keep him because we could maybe score an extra goal in the Champions League? Again, it comes down to I don't think we're even looking at strikers at the moment. We haven't been rumored with any. Who are we going to replace them with? I don't know. But yeah, if you're saying 18 to 20 million, I'd be like, yeah, take it, and we can at least get someone else. Oh, actually, there was the other Irish striker that we're rumored with, but I don't think he's a Kyogo replacement.
Well, that's what I was going to go through to. The next thing was how we would replace him, because I've got three different ways we could do this, Jared. But before we do that, we'll pump the brakes on that. We'll get Willie and Dan's view on how they would tackle what we were just talking about. So is 18 to 20 million enough for him, and then we'll go into how we replace him. So Willie, I'll throw to you.
Nah, 18 million is not enough for Kyogo. Kyogo's a 20 million plus player. But selling Kyogo is not an option for me. We've just got Ida in, which has put the striking position back to the same level it was last season. So selling Kyogo will be a massive blow to what Brendan Rodgers is trying to do and what the team is trying to achieve. We definitely would not have any time to replace him adequately. I'm kind of really hoping this one fizzles out. They're saying it's between Kyogo and another player. I'm not sure who the other player is at Man City. They've narrowed it down to the two, so I'm kind of hoping they'll plump for the other guy. But the fear of this is if Man City have shown an interest in Kyogo, other English Premier League teams will sit there and go, oh, hang on a second here, who's this guy Man City we're looking at, and that they narrow down to their final two. So it's going to heat up over the next 9 days. But if we were to lose the likes of O'Reilly and Kyogo, and there is rumours of Hatate to Leicester. We might go into that, we might not. But if you lose that three players, you are ripping the absolute any creativity from the centre of our pitch right out of the heart of the team. And that is that team would still win the Premier League in Scotland. I've no doubt about that. This Rangers team we're facing is a shambles. But if you take that three players out of our starting lineup right now, you can all but guarantee we'll be finishing really low down the Champions League group. And yeah, it would be frightening to watch, like, because it is the three of them are pivotal to us going forward and breaking up the pitch quickly and taking teams apart. Like, so no, it's an absolute it cannot happen for me. It gives me the fear now. Every time I open up Twitter and Facebook and that, I've got the fear of death in me thinking, Kyogo's on his way out. So yeah, it's a scary thought. Like,
and Dan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, fairly similar. I love Kyogo. He's been a huge part of what we've done and a big fulcrum in the attack for so long. On the flip side, he's 29. I'm worried about fitness, particularly in terms of the shoulder. The suitor, you've got to take into account that despite financial fair play and all that, if we're dealing with Man City, we, I guess, can, set the stall out for a fairly big fee, and we'd need to because this late on, as you said, we haven't been linked to a ton of strikers. I'm not sure, given the way we've conducted business, how quickly we're going to bring one in. It took us, however long to bring in Adam Eder, who clearly desperately wanted to be here, and Norwich were clearly quite happy to sell. So I'm not sure, I have a lot of faith in us making a move quickly. But I think it all comes back down to the player trading model. And if you look at it, Kyogo's been, his stock's been high for quite some time. But is it going to go higher? Is this the absolute best price we could get for him is probably now. So if Man City came in with a silly, silly offer, they'd have to take it. And you'd have to put some faith in the club. I hate saying every time I say put some faith in the board or put some faith, I'm not sure I've got that faith. I did see us. I think one of the only strikers I saw us linked to was, ironically, another Norwich City player, Abu Kamara.
They want 15 million for him, so just and put a line through that.
Done. I wish I had saw that before I watched a fair bit, and before I did a fair bit of stat diving and reading, because it's a small sample size at the Championship. But I sort of went back through his time in PL2 and League One on loan at, I think it was Portsmouth. So it's quite annoying. But the way we worked with Norwich last time, I don't think that's going to happen again. So it could be a case of Adam Eder and Johnny Kenny up front at this point if we were to sell Kyogo. And as Willie said, that we've got Jared's eyes there just said it all. It's Johnny Kenny, who I still think could be a player. I just don't want to see him thrust in and made to prove it immediately. I'll be really happy when the transfer window shuts from a number of perspectives, because I'll be able to accurately assess our our transfer dealings, but also no one else is leaving. So let's get it over and done with. And I guess I know RL77 just commented it, but I was going to say we could always test Hearts resolve about Lawrence Shanklin.
I've seen that everywhere as well. I was going to bring that up in the comments right after. I was going to throw the comments to start with that one. Sign Lawrence Shanklin all over the phone-ins.
I was just thinking it because I know it gives Willie the absolute jitters every time you say the name Lawrence Shanklin. You see his reaction.
Slow, lazy. No, not for me.
So yeah, with Eamon's comment here, are we going to clear house if there's a late load of offers? So yeah, I think we're talking about that there. So Stephen Ray said this earlier on, not selling Kyogo if we get 15 plus million would be dereliction of duty. He's nearly 30, showing signs of decline as potential injury issues. Take the money and go again. And then you've got McLaughlin saying, I'm finding it difficult to believe City want a striker with a busted shoulder. Jerry's saying reasonable fee, but I would keep him until the next window. McLaughlin saying it could be a stunt to get Ange to come in. I'm going to go on a different little thing that was mentioning Ange. Who's leaving Man City at the end of the season? Pep. Who was at the City group before and knows the setup? Ange. There you go. Ange will leave Tottenham and go to City next year, and then it all makes sense.
I thought you were about to say they were coming in for Brenda as well. So
yeah, so you
I
got
wonder
that.
if this is all just a big bluff, though. Like, what if our board knows that they're not going to sign a lot of players? So let's scare everyone to think that we're getting rid of all of our good players, and then when we end up keeping them all, everyone's just happy that we haven't lost everyone.
So it's like the 10 in a row season. Well, we kept Edward and Christie and Aya, and then it wasn't great. Yeah, that sounds perfect. So Michael Ross was saying Kyogo's almost 30. Hate to see him, but if we got 20 mil, I'd sell him. Mage saying, do we know if Kyogo's agents discussed in terms of Man City? He could be. Smell the Glove was saying, love Kyogo's 29 and the shoulder's getting worse. Eder is obviously Brendan's guy. That's part of it as well. Kyogo's Ange's guy. Eder's Brendan's. This one here, though, RL77, if our striker makes a big move to Man City, it encourages others to join Celtic. But who trusts us to be able to get good replacements in? So Robert Gibson's doing this one on the wind-up. Eder's been sold to Ipswich Town. That'd go down well down that way. Leave Norwich to go to Ipswich via us. The thing is, though, if City did buy Kyogo from Celtic, right? That's finally one of the big 4 teams or big 6 teams in the EPL buying direct from the source rather than us having to send a player like Matt O'Reilly via Brighton to get to a top 6 team or a Virgil to Southampton. So that could actually break down that wall there a little bit for us. And the rumor is everyone was saying 18 to 20 million. Apparently the club's going to ask Man City for a club record for him. So I just saw that before as well. But then who knows if the Celts are here. Page is talking absolute trash or not. It's very clickbaity. There's 2 other comments I wanted to touch on quickly. Michael Ross is saying Burgers can play as a striker. Yep, that's probably what they're thinking. If you sign him, if you were to sell Kyogo, you've got Eder, you've got Maeda who can play there, then you've got Burgers as your third option. So it won't necessarily have to be a Johnny Kenny coming in. And Smell the Glove is, yeah, exactly. You can tell Rangers are struggling and we're cashed up and the window's coming to the end within 9 days. Who is selling tomorrow? CCV, AJ. Now, it'll probably be Rio again tomorrow with those Leicester rumours that Willie was touched on earlier. Or Kalmack is going to want to move down to there, or Naroski will go or whatever. It's going to do all sorts of crap. It's fantastic. I love it. So, if we were to lose Kyogo, how would you replace him? So, I'll give you guys some thinking time. There's 3 options as far as I look at it. I just touched on one of them, which was you move Maeda to striker, but I didn't touch on the follow-on part of that. So, your options are, would you try and bring in another striker, like Aaron Connolly, who was mentioned earlier by yourself, Jared, would you bring him in because he's a free agent? Option 2, you try to bring in another backup striker. So Eder's your main man and you try and recruit another striker in that role and you leave Maeda out on the wing. Option 3, if you move Maeda to striker, do you recruit another winger and get all that 25 million or whatever club record, give it back to Al Ittihad and bring back Jota? Do you just,
Literally what I was about to say.
they're the 3 options I see. You really want to have a bit of a chuckle about it and go, oh, we've got all this money. What's the ultimate way to, absolutely put that club across town in their dust? We bring back Jota. We know that he's absolutely amazing. He's a natural left winger who was forced to play on the right, which pushed Tabata on the bench because of Maeda playing on the left. So if you can play him on the left, you keep Kun on the right, and then you've got Eder or Maeda in the middle, you're absolutely flying. What are your thoughts, Jared?
I can't talk while I have an erection.
All the blood separates. We'll go to you, Will.
To me,
I've been doing it.
to me
fine
that's
this whole
the epic
time.
scenario.
Well,
Like, it would be perfect, but I think we're dreaming getting Jota back. But
I
that would
just
be
said that to
perfect.
wind up the comments. It's the same as like, oh, we're going to get Kieran. Okay, bang, let's watch the comments come in. Yeah.
It's something that I do on FIFA. Like, literally just last week, I sold Rocco Vata for 50 million and bought Jota and a midfielder and Morris Jens with the money I got from Vata.
let's
So
get him.
that's how close I think we might be to doing that. But that would be great.
Let's bring Morris Jens back. He's a left-sided centre back, and he said he wanted to come
Yes,
back.
I would love
before he
to.
retires. Good shout.
And
Willie?
big, powerful.
There are worse options.
So, Willie, I'll let you just go through. You give your thoughts on the whole thing. I'm going to look up where Morris Jens is playing.
I don't think if Jota comes back, I'll take your tiara off you, Jared, and I'll wear it for a show. It's never going to happen. That's what I think on that one. Like, if we lose Kyogo, that is a lot of goal contributions in a game. That is a lot of perpetual motion, which just defenders are absolutely scared of when they go out across that white line. They hate facing Kyogo because of the way he moves. I don't think it's something you can replicate very easily, and that's why I don't think you should be selling him in this window, because you need to have his replacement in and before you can say, right, okay, you can go now. You could argue the case that Dyson Maeda will become the forward and his movement will frighten defenders, but he hasn't got that natural instinct to finish the ball the way that Kyogo does. You look at the goals Kyogo scored against Rangers, man. Some of them are absolute peaches. Like, I just think this is just a really, really bad time to be selling Kyogo. But if you do sell him, then you could get in the boy Bogus, who could play as a number 9. You would have Ida there. You'd have Dyson Maeda, who could play up front as well. There would be options, but I think it would just be a massive hole to put in the team at this stage. And you've heard Brendan Rodgers talk about him too. When they signed Adam Ida, a lot of people say Adam Ida is a second-string striker now. He's not. And Brendan Rodgers himself says, I've got 2 first-choice strikers and I can utilise them in different ways. And I still think that Kyogo is part of Brendan Rodgers' plans going forward, and I kind of hope it sticks to that, mate.
I'm going to jump in here then. Mahesh's got a comment saying Kyogo is not as important in Rodgers' system compared to Ange's. His attack contributions almost halved under Rodgers. Smell the Glove was like, didn't Jens move for over 10 million? Well, he's at Wolfsburg, so it wouldn't surprise me. McLaughlin saying Jota said he hates the money and wants to come back for 25k a week. I know that's firmly tongue in cheek. Michael Ross, Maeda is actually a striker. I actually rate him. My problem with Maeda is when he's pressing on the left, he's good, but when the ball comes to him, he's really got a heavy touch. Put him in the striker, it's not as much of an issue for me. So yeah, it could actually work out, but yeah, it's going to be one of those things, particularly the Kyogo in Rodgers' system. If we sell him 20 million, guess who we could go and pick up? we could have the one player. I'm going to say something to be completely stupid here, but club record at the moment, 9 million. Odson Edouard. Let's go spend 13, 14 million on him from Crystal Palace. Bring him back. There you go. Now he's a record signing twice. He'll be number 1 and number 2 on the list. He suits Brendan's system probably better than Kyogo does. So if you had him and Jens, there's option. Not Jens, him and Ida. There's your options. But Dan, what are you thinking for replacing them?
Fuck knows.
Fair enough. Let's move along then.
No, look, I'm not one for going back, so I don't want to see French Eddie or
Was it the wind up?
Moussa Dembele or whoever else we're supposed to be going back for.
Larson.
Henrik, yeah, what's he up to? Oh, he's young fella.
Lee Griffiths, bring him back.
Lee Griffiths, yeah, he's still playing for Mandurah or something.
Very
Did
hooper.
he get sacked by Mandurah? Fuck
I
knows.
don't know.
No, look, you've got to. I don't think you can go into a season with Ida and then sort of hoping that an attacking midfielder like Bogish and a winger like Maeda are your 2 backup strikers. I think you need a genuine striker to be in that mix. I think you can get away with one of those guys as a 3rd striker, but I think you need a legitimate striking option. I don't mind Aaron Connolly. I don't know a whole lot about him, but he's Irish, so that'll keep Desmond happy. You know, it ticks a few boxes. We can, if he's got an Irish tattoo or something, we can throw that in the marketing. So
there's a whole bunch of Celtic fans out there with the last name Connolly who would be loving to buy a top with their name on it too, so to pay for itself.
True. You've got to think about these from marketing angles. We've got a lot of, dividends and shareholder profits to make as a club.
We got the Provo 3rd strip top coming out as well, so get Connolly on the back of that and you're all set.
Is there any truth to the rumor that comes with a balaclava?
It comes with a kneecap claver. Anyway.
Yeah, who knows? Look, either way, we'll piss the league in this year because Rangers are fucked. But I just want to do better in Europe. Just want to.
There you go. Michael Ross is saying it.
Nothing wrong with a party animal.
Most Irish players are.
McLaughlin, we need to get out of this habit of just buying players because they're Irish.
Is James McCarthy still playing?
Because we haven't even touched on that one. I completely skimmed over it. I was leaving it till the end. Mikey Gone-Son. That was actually my last topic I wanted to talk about before we jump into previewing the game. But Mikey Gornsky, he's off to Burnley. So he's down there for his medical today. About bloody time, hey?
Thank fuck. Just
That's another
nothing against the guy. Just I'm just happy for it to be over. Will we? Won't he? Will he? Won't he? Will he improve? Will he not improve? Can we? Fuck, he's gone now. See you later. We move on.
Yep, just get rid. So, means we've basically lost a lot of Irish players this season, doesn't it? Rocco Varda, Mikey Johnson. Who else is there? McCarthy.
McCarthy.
There you go. We've lost a few. Boaston Lawwell, isn't he? He's Irish.
English. He's
Irish,
English, isn't he?
I thought he was
he's
Irish.
Yeah, I thought
He's
he was
Irish. And then the other
Irish
one
on
going
the
on.
Cup.
And then what's his name? Who's the backup keeper that everyone's big on? Toby Oluwayemi. He's going. I think it's
He's English.
online.
He's the backup keeper, isn't he?
I said he was English a few weeks ago, and what happened? I copped it in the comments. He's actually Irish, Oluwayemi, and his brother's just signed for Wellington Phoenix down here. Brother or cousin? I think it's his brother. So there you go.
Important distinction.
Yeah. Anyway. Oh, there you go. Michael Ross has got tomorrow's headline. Real Madrid sniffing around Ralston. 40 mil they can have him.
He's better than Jeffy.
Yep, 100%.
As long as we keep Kuhn.
He's not going anywhere. Have a look at his hair. Like, that's one for the follically challenged like yourself, Jared, to, have hair in before. He has to stay. So, yeah, we'll just chat about the game on the weekend on Sunday. Sunday game against St Mirren away. if you're at the ground, have a look for Steve Smith from been on our pod a few times. He's on our deep dives when we have him. He'll be there with a Celtic Down Under flag. So if you see him, go harass him, give him a cuddle. He loves it. He's going to try and get the flag on the side of the stadium, on the side of the fence somewhere too. So keep an eye out for it. But yeah, Jared, what's your general thoughts heading into the game?
I'm pretty confident. We're playing well, just like when we said like we need to bring new players and stuff in, and Willie said we can't strip the players that are playing well. Like that's exactly right. Like we're playing as a team. Everyone seems to know what each other is doing. We apart from maybe like the second half against Hibs in that first game where we kind of just had half a game off and still dominated. I'm not overly worried about St Mirren. They've been up and down. I don't even know what to expect from St Mirren. I was expecting a lot more, but then they've given us.
Yeah, they've been interesting so far. I'm having a look here. They're 1 win, 1 draw. Sorry, 1 win, 1 loss. 4 goals, 4-3 against. That's it. So yeah, they're a bit all over the place, but we'll see how it goes. Now
They have
They
been
lost
dealing. They have been
Dundee
dealing
United.
with the European excursion as well. So I'm not sure how much that's played into some tied results over that period as well.
Oh, I forgot some of the names they've got on their list as well. They've got like Sean Rooney's there now, Alex Gogic, Alex Yakovidi. Those guys, those three love racking up cards, so you know they can be there to be got at.
What happened to Ryan Strain? Where did he go? Like,
Checking it out, I thought he was still there, wasn't he?
I had him down for the most red cards this season too. Like, I don't think he's there anymore.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, he's not on the list.
He's at Dundee United.
Is he? Oh, well, he's still in Scottish football. I might get away with it then.
There you go.
I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you. Like St Mirren have been playing European football, so small, compact squads like that struggle with 2 games a week, especially when they're playing tougher opposition. So they've had a full week off, so I'm expecting a trickier sort of tie at Smiza Stadium. They always give us a game there, but they've got that Olasenya up front. He's an absolute unit. Like, so I'd imagine he'll be running at the left, centre back, left back, trying to open up holes for the Edo and Adeniran to run into. Like, so they seem to have hit the ground running when they come there. So it'll be interesting to see, but I think we'll just have too much in the locker for them, and I think we'll see them off. I think it'll be a 2-0 win for Celtic. So that's for me.
And Dan, what are you thinking? And your score prediction, and we'll go starting lineups and all that stuff too.
Yeah, look, I don't think we'll have a. I don't think it'll be a walk in the park. I think there'll be a stiffer test than Hibs were. As I said, I know they were dealing with playing Bran, and I think it was Valeur before that, or whether that was Keeley. I get mixing those two up, but
yeah,
they've got some. They've got some players there. As Willie said, up front, the lad up front, Olasanya's a beast, and they've got Mickey Mandron that they can throw up there as well, so they can throw themselves around. I know Mark O'Hara was out injured, so I'm interested to see. I really like Mark O'Hara. I know he's not sort of Celtic quality player, but he's just a really good Scottish Premiership player and can pop up with a goal or two. So he has been injured, so I'll be interested to see if he's back. I'm just trying to get the details now. He's not listed as injured anymore, so I'd say so. But, you know, there's a decent side there. The Smiza, I think Willie said again, we always have a game there. They're compact, pretty tight. I think they'll. I don't think it'll be a walkabout. 2-0 with Liam Scales scoring a goal. Fucking something. I can't keep saying Greg Taylor.
Fair enough. So I was bringing this up here. McLaughlin's saying, I said before the season started, St Mirren would be the hardest game in the first month. Mahesh is basically like stolen this straight from my brain here. Celtic need to defend set pieces better. That's what my concern is going into this game. In general play, they're going to keep their shape. They're going to be well disciplined and well drilled. That's pretty much what Robinson's teams are like. But when they get a set piece, we're going to have to defend properly. So yeah, I'm thinking starting lineup will be the same as the weekend just gone, and we will start and we'll win 3-1. But we're going to have an absolute howler from a set piece again. It's going to happen. So they're going to target between Scales and Greg Taylor in the air at a set piece, and yeah, that's where it'll come from. But then our 3 goal scorers, I had Scales, I had CCV, and I had Big Adamita. So we'll see how it goes.
You'd get a good price at the bookie for all those 3 scoring.
Maybe that's what my thoughts are.
Gamble responsibly.
Yeah, something like that. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Here, Maddie, I'll give you the final say on the game. I agree, we should have too much class to win this one 4-0. So we'll leave it there. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Check out our YouTube channel. Hit like on the video, subscribe, and we're going to be sharing stuff about the fundraiser for mental health. We'll start talking about that in a few weeks' time and promoting that a bit more. But yeah, keep an eye out for that in the channel as well. We're going to try and beat last year's record we did on that. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it. And hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.